Josh Jennings, senior research analyst with Cowen. Josh, we've talked a lot about what's at stake for society and the globe. What about the stock? J&J doesn't feel like has been a huge mover on vaccine news. Why is that?
Sarah Wilford, thanks for having me on the show. I think the valuation that investors are using to assess Johnson & Johnson's fundamental business hasn't really baked in vaccine revenue contributions. I think there's two reasons. One is that Johnson & Johnson management team hasn't incorporated vaccine sales into their 2021 guidance, and they've been very clear that they'll be selling the vaccine in a not-for-profit model. And so the earnings impact would be de minimis even if they did reach 1 billion doses in 2021. So I think those two things have been the leading causes for a lack of a big bump in the stock price for Johnson & Johnson. But I also think that Johnson & Johnson is just a big company and just a broad revenue base, that there are a lot of different drivers and not a single needle mover. I do think investor sentiment had picked up and had improved with the progress on the vaccine development and the ultimate approval, but it wasn't a huge valuation driver, as you mentioned.
So we're talking, Josh, about 6 or 7 million doses of this vaccine administered in the US before this pause. Where will we be by the end of the year, all things considered?
So Johnson & Johnson has reiterated that they're on pace to deliver 1 billion doses worldwide. In the United States, they have contracts with the federal government to supply 100 million by mid-year, and then there's another 100 million on top of that by the end of the year. So Johnson & Johnson hasn't disclosed pricing for the vaccine, but in this not-for-profit model, we're assuming that it's somewhere in between on a global basis, $5 to $10 per dose. So that would imply if they do ultimately supply 1 billion doses, that could be 5 to 10 billion of upside in our model. We haven't incorporated vaccine revenues into our forecast yet. I think there's a mixed bag in terms of analysts covering Johnson & Johnson, whether or not they've incorporated vaccine revenues to date.
Well, first step is hearing what the CDC has to say, and should get that soon. Thank you, Josh. Josh Jennings.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.